Hey, Katie. Oh my God. Are we really doing this?
We are. Welcome to Higher Downloads, where two moms, entrepreneurs, and spiritual seekers are getting real about doing our best to live life in alignment.
Yeah, and by getting real, we mean the raw, unfiltered voice memo version of ourselves.
And you know what we're really obsessed with lately: higher
hmm
downloads.
You know that moment when clarity arrives seemingly from nowhere? That's it. That's the higher download from your highest self.
Exactly, because we know everyone has the ability to access their own higher downloads. So nothing is off limits here. Everything in the wheel of life, from career, spirituality, motherhood, relationships.
Yep, everything. And really through the lens of higher consciousness and joy. And we have to share our higher downloads too, right? So grab your coffee
Or your crystals, or whatever you need to have fun with us.
and get ready to tune in to your own wisdom channel because receiving higher downloads means you can live your life in HD.
Higher Downloads starts now. Welcome to Higher Downloads. All
Welcome
right,
back.
today we're getting real about all the weird spiritual stuff that we have done.
Yes, this episode is something we, as most episodes, got cooked up from voice memos
Mhm.
where we're messaging each other about things and having one of those moments of like, I wonder what people would think. Like, would there be some people who are like, oh, y'all are just babies in the spiritual journey? Like, I did that X number of years ago. Or people be like, seriously? WTF? Like, who are these women? And we're like, let's talk about it.
I know. Let's talk about it. You were sending me some a really interesting thing, and that's my favorite part about this world, this community, is there are things that have never hit people's radar, never heard of it, and then there's other circles where it's everyday conversation, and that's what's so fun is there's just a constant unraveling of what everybody's aware of or not.
Yes, and actually now I'm remembering exactly what it was. We just adopted a new kitten in our family, but before he came on board, I did an energy reading with a woman we can probably we'll talk about her later today, but a woman who's an energy reader, energy healer, and just, wanted to understand what was happening with our other cat at home and just reading the energy and helping us to integrate this new kitten into our family as best as possible. And I remember that, like, sharing some things with you and like then kind of laughing of like, huh, I'm sure there are people who adopt pets every day who don't think about.
And I was at a lunch, and even our WhatsApp chat after lunch were called like spiritual ladies who lunch. And I was at that first lunch, and I'm like, oh, I'm with these people that are doing the work, they're doing the practices, we're so aligned. And someone talked about their dog kind of misbehaving in a pretty egregious way. And I said, well, have you had a channel? Like, you should go call someone to channel, like, what's going on with the dog. And it was like flat, no reaction. And I was like, guys, have y'all not listened to the telepathy tapes? And do you not know about this? And I was completely shocked. So I was like, okay, not everything has hit everybody's radar at
Not
this point.
everything's hit everybody's radar. Okay. All right. So we both tried different spiritual practices at different times. Sometimes we've informed each other of them. I used to lovingly and still do call you my Sherpa because I think you often somehow seem to experience them first and then share them with me. So that idea of the Sherpa. But we both, I think, ultimately started even doing this because of we were feeling disconnected from our bodies, from work, or no, work was making us feel that way. And there was just a lot of that,
Yeah.
like corporate burnout. We have both different stories. For me, there was a really big like infertility battle, and then a really traumatic loss of um, a baby, and just feeling like I have to break up with all God source things as I know it. How, why did this happen? But ultimately, in that search for wholeness, source, love, reconnection, of trying some of these things. I know we both share the corporate burnout thing. Any others for you?
Well, absolutely. It's all, I feel like it's the human condition, especially as we are in culture now, to ignore the symptoms, ignore the signs, power through. We're so strong and we're so capable. We can override that, especially in America. We're so driven and ambitious and, wanting to keep up and do all the things. And I found myself in that where my body was screaming at me and it was basically a, okay, I give up. My body is bringing me down and the rest of my life is kind of crumbling around me too, to lead me to a point where I would say, okay, I have to try something different now, and figure out what I need, figure out what this pain is because I can't go on living like this.
Yeah, it's like what we both know, and we've also talked to many other people. You hit this moment of like, this is not sustainable. I will
Absolutely.
not continue repeating this pattern. Like something has to give. Uh, and so there's just there. I think that's a common thread in a lot of people, the women especially, we surround ourselves with.
Absolutely. Not sustainable anymore. I feel like there's always that wake up call. Something calls you to this stuff, unless you just have a Sherpa. I actually know a few people who just grew up with this, like their mother, their grandmother taught them all this stuff when they were young. And I'm doing that to my kids, but I'm like, man, I had to learn this the hard way.
I know, and decades in, like, and I have a friend, a couple of friends actually, who are at least 10 years younger than me, and I am so happy for them that they have more time, as you know, hypothetically, like they have more time to have learned these things and integrate them into their lives. So yeah, you're right. There are some people whose mothers, grandmothers have taught them, but we both
Absolutely.
had dark nights of the soul
That's right.
and
We had to
and
find our Sherpas
initiations.
and be Sherpas to people. That's what I find too, is I find so much joy dropping little, oh, you haven't heard of this yet, you should try it. Haha, and come back to me whenever you try it because I can't wait to hear how much you love it.
That is the role model in you, and that
Oh.
is your human design. And human design was one of the
Mhm.
gateway practices, gateway
That is a
drugs.
great point. It is a gateway practice. Okay. And oh my gosh, the gateway. I'm like the gateway drug. Let's talk about it. This is the gateway drug to
Yeah, yeah.
divine lives, to higher downloads lifestyle. So okay, you're right. Human design was one of my first entry points at a recommendation of a friend who just said there's this awesome woman in Austin who does these amazing readings. You need to do it. And I did it for my birthday. It was like a treat to myself.
Hmm.
And I was never the same after that moment, after that
True.
session.
As our witness, that is true.
Yep.
Yeah, same. And so then, as my Sherpa, you suggested that I do a human design reading. It also blew my eyes like wide open. And honestly, I don't know if I've said it to you in this way yet, Katie, but one of the things that hurt was some of the things she said should be natural to me that were in the blueprint of my life were the areas of my life that where I was in the most pain and
Mhm.
energy was just leaking and leaking and leaking. And so I had this wake up call, this moment of like, oh my God, that's how I'm wired. That's what I would naturally want to do. That's why it hurts so bad that I am actively choosing a different way of being and responding to people and to life. And like that, that makes so much sense. And I really need to go and get back to what feels my human design, like what I was designed for in this lifetime. I don't know if I had actually shared it with you like that, but I could see a gap, feel a gap.
Absolutely. The most clarity came from realizing that areas I had the most pain around, or maybe was resisting, was my natural thing to embrace and not change. And if you learn your pattern and you can know what's natural versus trying to resist nature. We can't resist the stream, right? The river always wins in nature.
Yeah, you can put as many rocks up. I'll give an example for mine if you feel like giving one of yours. But one of my big ones was I learned that I have sacral authority. And sacral, if you're familiar with the seven chakras, is in the womb area if you're a womb carrier, but just below your navel if not. And it's like the source of creativity. It's sort of sense of self too, although that's solar plexus
Hmm.
as well.
Yeah, no, it's definitely identity and
Pleasure, what gives you
pleasure,
joy, identity.
creativity.
Yeah. And it was so she did this exercise with me, like I should be able to like innately, yes, no, check in with my sacral, that fits, that doesn't fit. And one of the things that was so painful for me was I was like, oh my God, I don't check in with myself to answer a question. I wonder what is going to bring the most pleasure or reduce the most pain for all the people around me. I wasn't checking in with my sacral authority. I was a people pleaser times a gazillion million, add on a dash of several dashes of perfectionism or perfectionist. And so I would make choices in a way that would like what would keep me the safest or what would keep like what would make other people the happiest. And I was like, wait, what? I'm supposed to check in with myself and my sacral first? And that's one of the big ahas that I had. And I've shifted through lots and lots of work. Girl, I only check in with the sacral now.
Yeah. Knowing that and then having the tools to integrate and the people to talk to, it's like, wow, what a combination. I feel like the gateway is the identity, the knowing oneself, having somewhere to go when you feel a little lost is big time. And I mindfulness and meditation is another one where it's an easy thing. It's a more commonly known exercise, but it really gives you way more than anyone could ever tell you before you start it, right? And that is definitely another gateway of like, I'm just have a busy mind, I have anxiety or I'm just overwhelmed, right? Meditation, mindfulness, great entry point, but wow, is it going to give you a lot more than you're even bargained for? But you go into it with this I need more peace and come out with so much more.
Holding back all kinds of laughter because I just had a mini download around meditation. I don't know if I've told you this before. But, you would be like, "Katie, you need to meditate." I'm like, "I know, I can't." Like, I'm either like, my mind is too or like I'll fall asleep. But I want to tell you, one of the gateways for me was I worked for corporate America, and in May, which is Mental Health Month, they gave us free access to a meditation app, and they ran a competition between business units of who could do as many minutes of meditation. And if
I
there's
love that.
and if there's any way back then, the old version to get me to meditate, it was you gave me a competition. And I'm just laughing because I'm like, I struggled so hard to actually meditate, but I was like, I'm doing the minutes, I'm helping my team, back
I
to that like
love it. That's a
perfectionism,
great
high
way.
achiever. But I did exactly to what you said. There were moments where I really could shut down the noise, the monkey mind, even for I think 2 minutes was my max for a while.
Mhm.
I did get a lot out of it, and obviously I've continued to and have stretched that muscle. But I don't think I ever told you, and I just remembered that I only really started it because
That is such a great idea. I'm going to use that one day in my future. That is awesome. That is a great way to get somebody who's just in that like type A competitive business culture mindset to like get into it. That's awesome.
yep. Do you? I think we've talked about this before, but there's guided meditations which will help you like visualize or do things, and then just sometimes just the quiet, the truly shutting down. Do you have a preference, or how do you approach it?
Well, I would say for me, it is a tier. If I can't, for me, silent meditation is not silent, but like whenever you have like just the HVAC running or like a background noise that's like a very consistent sound that you stop thinking about it. That's what helps me is I need something to focus on, but
Hmm.
that will then fade away. And that is where I can get detached, like truly detached. I use guided meditations, like, for example, if I'm in pain, right, and I need the guided direction to help focus on something else, and it's specifically for that topic, or if I'm really specifically trying to think about working, healing, or addressing like a certain issue I'm having. But when I'm talking about regular just meditation, finding for myself, getting detached and getting into that theta state or a state where I'm having the true downloads and going into connection with myself, it has to be the silence with some kind of background noise is what gets me there. But I've heard people say that it just depends on the person, what works for
Hmm.
them. I don't think
Yeah,
there's a one size fits all per se.
for sure. And it depends for me too what I'm going for, if I need guided or whatever. But you just said theta brain waves. And my family did something this weekend that was so cool. It has like I got to figure out how to make or get one of these systems. But we went to this science museum and they had something called Mind Ball, and you put this headband on that has sensors, and it can measure your brain waves. And so we know that there's different types of brain waves: beta and alpha and theta and delta and gamma. I think that's all of them, or at least the ones I know of. But just like you said, theta is that like real true meditative state. And then alpha is just above that, which is a little bit busier, but it's more in the creative. It's like if you're in flow painting, but you're still
Mhm.
more conscious. And then theta is way more in that meditative state. But anyway, these things in your headband, they measured your alpha and theta, specifically your brain waves. And so it's a
So cool.
competition, back to competition. Competed against my son, and we put these on, and whoever has the most alpha or theta waves, the ball moves, and it's this really, really cool thing to move the ball. But speaking back to your point about us trying to raise our kids with much more awareness, Lincoln now understands, like, oh, that's what got me. So he was at the first time we tried it, he was really trying to push the ball with his brain, which meant that
Hmm.
he was actually like getting his problem solving beta like waves, and we could see, you could see a monitor above, and he could see his activity was way higher than mine. And then he was like, oh, and that's like, go do what your school counselor did, do what we talked about, like box breathing. And then
Hmm.
he was able to see the ball like move. So that was a really interesting thing about brain state and waves when you said theta.
That is so cool. And yeah, we're gonna have to post a little video or picture of that. It was so awesome. Such a visual representation. I'm so glad we can measure this stuff now, and I gotta take my kids there. It sounds awesome.
You do. You could like have a whole family thing just at that one exhibit. Okay, sorry.
I
We're in
love it.
gateway practices. Gateway practices. What's
Yeah, I
another
was gonna
one?
say we're supposed to be talking about what is weird, and we are definitely vanilla at this point. So
Yeah, stay with this. Stay with this.
But it is true. I mean, meditation. I mean, human design was definitely a weirder one for me because it's kind of like like astrology esque. Like it's definitely not a measurable output, right? It's the source of it is more quote unquote weird than I don't know, breath work, right? And brainwaves, meditation has been very widely studied and all that. So, yes, entry point, but yeah, I agree. Those were also my entry points. And then I would say over the last 3 years, I would say I've been going pretty hard, like just wanting to know more about everything that exists. And I
Hmm.
remember at a certain point, my Sherpa, right? I was in that Sherpa where I had friends and friend groups where we'd be like, have you heard of this? Have you heard of that? Have you tried this? Whatever, we'd just be sharing ideas. And there was a point where almost every week I'd be like hearing about something new. And even on my algorithm on Instagram, like once you start down one rabbit hole, then it's showing you this other stuff. And I remember for weeks on end, it was like new, bombarded with new information left and right. Have you had that experience?
Yes, I remember distinctly changing my algorithm on Instagram because of the things I was searching. And I'm like, whoa, that's so crazy. I'm not even getting fed the burnout corporate, the jokes,
Mm.
the of like, I can't do it all, the mom burnout bullshit stuff. I'm like, I'm getting fed like meditation stuff, stuff about plant medicine, sound healing, singing bowls. That's where I was introduced to Abel Hart and like understanding the different literal hertz of music. Like, yes, I remember. And that was a cool thing. We always talk about this, but when you change your inner world, your outer world has no choice but to change. And I was like, ooh, that's a material thing I can see when my algorithm was feeding me different things on social media.
Absolutely. And I think too, I think it's important to call out like this was also spurred from that desperation, right? Like this was
Yeah.
desperation and pain in my body, emotional pain. Why is my life off course? Why do I feel like this when my life on paper looks good, right? Like having that conflict in life was really leading me to like, okay, what is the point of life? Are the baseline rules I'm operating on are not working for me? And then trying to discover how can I feel better? How can I enjoy my life more? How can I be happy? Really? I think I watched many like documentaries on happiness. And they'd always go back to some of these things around alignment, meditation, and all that. So, coming out of
Yeah.
desperation into like what is a new way, I feel like was my course of action. And one person that I feel like ties through this, if you haven't heard of it, is Louise Hay and her book. She's got a few books, Heal Your Body, You Can Heal Your Life. But the basic principle being that the energy, the thoughts, or the emotions that you have a direct impact on your physical outcome. And in a materialist world that we live in a Western medicine world that we live in, that is not what we are taught.
We're taught the energy of pain and sickness and scarcity.
That's
And I
true.
can look back. Katie, we've had this conversation, but I can look back on my childhood and teen years and things. And it's like, My family and family friends would gather and literally rock on the porch and talk about everyone's ailments for hours.
Oh,
It was almost like that was the competition. Like, and ooh, talk about breaking a cycle. I'm in a competition with my son on getting to theta brain waves. I'm just having a little mini download. And like the competition was like, who's the sickest? Who's going to go to the hospital the most? Like, I mean, not a real competition, but you know what I'm saying? Like
well, and I
that.
do think it comes from a place of care. Like I think it's we're caring for each other by supporting each other by talking about these things. But I think it's if you operate from a different baseline understanding that giving it to energy and mind space is actually perpetuating it, you wouldn't operate that. That wouldn't be care in that definition.
Well said. And I love learning about energy stored in the body and then having that energetic understanding alongside a better, deeper understanding of neuroscience and actual hormones that are released, like cortisol and adrenaline, and versus oxytocin and dopamine, and just having those two together, the neuroscience piece of it, the hormone piece of it, and energy, and how the energy can help or hurt with that has been a big shift for me.
And I think that's a perfect segue into breath work because breath work, it is that. It is you creating a physical response in your body, a chemical response in your body based on changing your breathing patterns. But
Yep.
the biggest kind of aha from my experience with it is all the emotional release and the actual energetic nervous system shift, momentum, change, release, all and everything that gets stirred up from it is a mind-blowing experience.
Yep. Yeah. I mean,
And
we just did breath work together on Friday at an event, and I didn't even get a chance to tell you this, so I will tell you, and along with all of our community at the same time. I released a memory I had no idea was stored. It was around something really mean and painful that my high school soccer coach used to say to me.
mm,
And it popped up, and I could tell you exactly where it was stored and where I felt it in my body, and then breathed through and released it. And I was like, wow, I didn't even realize I was still holding on to that 20 plus years ago.
wow, it's
Yep.
amazing. Like these memories, like they always say our brain is a supercomputer times like a million. It's like it's insane what it can carry, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
also how it can protect us. So like that's a great point is like there's so much kind of maybe not suppressed per se, but like just there's a lot of memories in there and your brain does remember a lot of stuff if you let it, if you tap
You let
into
it.
it. Yeah, and then that, yeah, feeds into your physical body and you're, feeling that. And anyway, it can perpetuate itself in beliefs too, right? It can form patterns in your mind that create beliefs that then create your reality. So, okay, breath work though, I feel like for somebody who hasn't done let's call it like an hour long guided, facilitated, intense breath work with like a great facilitator. Let's like the extreme version of the weirdest version of breath work. How would you describe what the peak of that experience is like when you're in that practice?
Euphoria. Like it's euphoria. I, I mean, we're gonna get weird. Like I'll tell you weird. Like there was a time where I was like, felt like I had floated out of my body, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm amongst the northern lights. Like you know how beautiful that looks, the northern lights.
Yep.
And then I was like, no, I am the northern lights. Like, and there have been many breathwork sessions where when the facilitator's like, okay, we're coming back into our bodies, we're wiggling our toes, and I'm like, no, no.
I don't want to go back.
But it is such a good reminder of how much of our body, our energy bodies, and that cleansing and that. And I believe in both. Like I need to do breath work. I need to be able to have that disconnection, but also it is reconnection
Hmm.
along with other somatic practices. What how would you describe it?
I would say I almost think of it visually of like there's ripples of depth, right? And I think it's taken me, I mean, I've been doing breath work consistently for like 2 years. So, and then finally finding facilitators that could really take you there, like take you on the full journey. So I had to like undo some things first, like some big aha, like I love myself or I am worthy things. And I feel like after I was kind of able to bring up those nervous system beliefs, process them. Now, whenever my current state is I'll feel very detached from my body, and it's almost like I'm floating upward in like a dark abyss. There will be some visuals, and sometimes it's like I can feel myself going deeper, like deeper inside, and
Deeper.
maybe there's colors or there's symbolism, but like it is detachment from what is going on around me, which it just, and it feels incredible. Like it feels like the most blissful, peaceful thing. And this is not with any drugs. Like this is
No,
the
but it feels
drug
like you
of
might be
breath.
on one.
It
Yeah.
definitely does. Like I feel like even talking about it from the outside looking in, like this is not psychedelics. This is just breathing.
Completely sober and just breathing. Yep.
Oh,
Different breathing
and it's
patterns.
so beautiful.
It is, and you said detach, I said detach, and it's important to put a little note here that detached from your body in a healthy way
Mm.
to remind yourself of really your vastness, your connection with source and higher consciousness and God or whatever you call it, right?
Yep,
Not disassociation. Not,
true.
not like I'm going to disassociate and not have a human experience. I'm going to hide things. There's no hiding in the breath work and the detachment. It's like let it all come as it is. Let me be as is. So I just wanted to make sure to differentiate because we both use the word detached.
Yeah, yeah. I would say, yeah, detached from just the physical body
Yeah.
aspect. But what's really cool is like this isn't a group setting, right? This is like with lots of people together in one room, all on yoga mats, laying down, eyes closed, having their own separate experiences. But one of my favorite facilitators, shout out JJ Casa de
Shout out
Luz,
JJ. We love you.
he at the end would sometimes ask you, did anybody see any colors? And it would be so fascinating because in one class, yeah, there's like 8 people that are like, I saw green. Or another class, there'll be a bunch of people that said, I saw like purple and blue.
Purple.
And it's like, we're having a shared experience with these colors. It was so bizarre, but also
It,
like, of course we are.
I know that blew my mind too because I was like, I remember having this one experience of like, oh my gosh, I saw all this stuff with green. Da, da, da. I'm like, do I tell anybody this? And then JJ does a beautiful facilitation after, as many facilitators do. And you realize you get to integrate and share. You're like, wait, what? We all saw. So that kind of back to the energy, the frequency in the room, and very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, what are some other things I want to hear? So let's go down the weird rabbit hole a little bit here.
Yep.
So maybe some stuff that's more common, more widely accepted, but maybe more just like sideshow silliness, right? Would be like oracle cards or tarot cards. I feel like people will do a tarot pull even if they don't believe in it or think it's just like a joke or I don't know, a hoax of sorts.
Yeah, we did a good part. Like there was an episode where we talked a decent amount about oracle and tarot cards.
Yeah, but just to be clear, that is not how I feel about them. I think that it is a representation of the energy that you're asking the question of or needing the message of. And if you do it right, right, like you have to set your intention and call it in and be very in like focus. Like you can't just pull one out. It's a there's a process to it, but that's a great one. So that's a fun one, more commonly accepted, but still weird. Kind of like if you're all in, it could be perceived as like a weird thing to really truly believe in.
Yeah, I was at a dinner party not that long ago, 8 women, and I brought several decks and offered to do it. And just in that room alone, there was the spectrum of, oh, I pull a card every day, to one woman who was like, I promised my mother before she passed I would never do anything like witchcraft. And it was a really interesting. She did end up pulling a card though, and it was really beautiful. And the message she got felt like it was directly from her mother. It was so
Wow.
beautiful. So yeah, I could go on and on about that, but just to share that also from a range of, is that woo woo or is that my everyday?
I know, I know. Okay. And then what else? So what are maybe what's like the weirdest intro thing? Like where did you start on the diving into weirdness scale?
It's so hard to tell, but one of the big ones is energy work. Like really kind of,
Mm.
we've touched on energy a lot, but like really understanding how much of our bodies is energy, how much of the world is energy. And so then understanding about Reiki and that type of experience. And then we both were introduced to a form of energy movement, energy healing called Shiva Murti. We have a shared friend, mutual friend who did a Shiva Murti healing for her birthday. Like that's cool.
Mm.
And I was in awe. I'd never seen that up front. I was literally like on the front row of yoga mats, like watching. And I think what really blew my mind wasn't how even I felt, but watching her father, who had very severe shoulder pain, and within several minutes of the energy movement, how he was able, do you remember that? He was able to raise his hand above his head for the first time in months.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay,
what
well,
types of
let's
energy have you, energy
well
healing?
before we move on, can you quickly define Shiva Murti? Like quickly,
Oh,
like
yes. Shiva Murti is a Balinese form of energy movement and healing. And actually, after that, I joined a training. And so I got trained in level one Shiva Murti healing. And I have to be honest, like, I believe it, experienced it, felt a healing from it, saw people get healed from it, and was still holding space for skepticism even while I was going through the training and having to do, having to do some healings or energy reading with other people. That was really tough, like to do that with my husband or a neighbor and and understand like there was a lot of ego like who do I think I am? Do I believe I can do this or am I a vessel to hold space for them to move the energy that they need that's stuck in their body for healing? So that was really interesting, but it's from Bali and it's very very similar to Reiki, but it comes directly from Bali and it has a whole lineage of a master healer named Ratu Nabe. So
mm,
I could
love
really
it.
share more, but
A
that's I guess
guru of
that's
sorts.
enough for
Yeah.
you to go Google if
Yeah, yeah. Google that one. But yeah, Reiki, I do feel like it's similar to Reiki. Reiki is probably my entry point.
Mhm.
I had been having muscle trigger point spasms in my shoulders for months caused from posture and work and stress and computer, living behind the computer and all that.
Yeah.
And I was in a very desperate moment of pain and what felt like I had no other options. I had done massage, I had, I had muscle relaxed, I had all the things and it was like it wasn't fixing itself and I was desperate. So I ended up calling a Reiki practitioner. They showed up within like 2 hours. All of a sudden I'm on a massage table in my daughter's bedroom. This was like 3 years or
Oh, they
4
went to your house. I didn't realize
Yeah,
that.
they came to
Okay.
my house. It was like 3 years ago. Because I was like, I had called into work. It was when I had gone back to work briefly for a corporate company, very toxic. Um,
Mistake,
and
detour, reroute.
yeah, I was like, whiplash. Okay, this is not working. Anyway, massive pain. Called the Reiki person. She comes 2 hours later, and again, never touched me. Right? That's the whole deal. Is with Reiki is basically they're holding the energy for you to heal yourself. Is kind of how I've heard the terminology. Again, I have never practiced any of this. I'm not an expert on this. They're another prerequisite for us. We are not experts. Well, you are because you're Shiva Murti level one at least, but
Not expert, level
not an
one.
expert. But yeah, it came in, and like after that hour, I was like, let's say my pain was at like a 9, I was at a 3. And at the end
Wow.
of laying on this table for 1 hour, simply having somebody facilitate my energy, like literally, it was incredible. Again, not fixing my root cause issue. That was a whole other thing I had to do, but it was a moment of desperation where I needed another alternative, and it absolutely helped.
Yeah. It's so amazing. We'll probably talk about Abraham Hicks in just a second, but I listened. So, okay, Esther Hicks is a woman who channels from a higher spirit who is named Abraham. So, Abraham Hicks. But I remember listening to something that she had been channeling, and it was so interesting. I've shared already in this community that I was raised Catholic and all those things, and Christian and Bible based everything. And one of the things I thought was fascinating was she talked about Jesus and other healers, well known, documented in the Bible or things like that. And she said she actually talked about how Jesus held the frequency for people to heal themselves and helping people like turn the blind man or the woman or the person with polio or and talked about how like holding that frequency of healing and I'm like, "Oh, wow, that's so anyway, just to bridge those worlds back to what you were saying.
Absolutely. Yeah, the miracles, right? It's the miracles and
Miracles.
it's what is not understood we call a miracle, right? As
Yeah.
soon as there are lots of things that we take as commonplace today in medical society or in our cultural society that once was deemed a miracle because nobody understood it.
Yeah, you'll
So
hear that with people with cancer. Like, you were supposed to die. Look at you with no trace of cancer on your scans, But guess what they mostly were doing?
Inner work.
Inner work. Inner
Yeah,
work, yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, Abraham, Esther Hicks, asking it is given. I'll throw that out as one of the kind of weird ones. I'm in real estate. It was somebody else I knew in real estate, kind of on social media, had
Mhm.
posted about asking it is given, and it kind of gives off Jesus on the front because it's like doves and clouds, and
The book.
it's
You're talking
the
about the book.
book,
The
the
book.
the book. Yeah, the book itself like kind of looks it is kind of like a cheap art cover too. It's kind of like they're not like high promoter people. Like
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
not
It's
it's
not overly
artistic.
branded in any.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm like, what is this? I don't know, but she's into it. I'm gonna read it. I read it. Amazing. It's definitely not about religion, but I remember really struggling with the premise of it. And then, but also 1,000% resonating with them, all the messages within it. And the hang up I had was that, yeah, the principle is it's a woman who developed this ability to channel with spirits on the other side, right, of the veil, if you want to call it. But it's basically, and it's not one spirit, it's like a collective of spirits. But the messages that come through, like, I know they are true. That is where, and so I started kind of going down and just doing the practices, and they changed my life. But I ended up going, they have seminars where they go around and you buy a ticket and you just go sit in a conference room and they call people up, the people ask questions, and then she channels Abraham to the people in the audience. And that was really hard for me to articulate that I had done to people about 3 years ago when I went. I was like, I'm not telling anybody about this. But it was amazing. And I'm going again in 2 weeks.
And I'm going with you.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So,
Channeling.
yeah. So, spending money and going to places and exploring these things. We've both spent money and gone to places and explored the things. I went to Miraval to start. Very lucky. There are only three in the world, and there's one very close to Austin where we live. So, I treated myself at a really, really, really dark time in my life. I kept telling my husband, I don't know why. I saw it on Oprah, but I feel super called to go there. It's crazy expensive for even one night, but I know I have to go. And I went there scared shitless. I'm like, what did I just get myself into? I'm not even good at yoga. I can barely meditate, right? Oh, this was the month before the meditation challenge at work.
Oh,
Just to
wow.
give it a little timestamp. But there I learned about forest bathing. Rinroku is a Japanese form of connecting with trees and earth. And I learned about the root system and those things. I did equine therapy. And far before the telepathy tapes came out, I understood that horses had such a deep intuition. And I don't know that I would have said at the time telepathic, but I would have said that sixth sense or some other sense that they had. And then I met a clairvoyant and had a clairvoyant reading and attended several ceremonies. So it was deep. And it was one of those like, when I come back, am I going to actually tell people what I did?
Yep, yep. Miraval's amazing. Definitely go check that out. I also had the privilege of going now, and I would say I didn't do as many of the things as you did, but the clairvoyant session was incredible. And they
Yeah.
have only the best people on their staff that do the readings and the classes and all that fun stuff. But my goodness, just a little like quick tip the toe in to
Hmm.
what that
Hmm.
session looks like.
Yeah.
Basically, is just sitting in a small room, very nice and whatever, with one person who is a clairvoyant, and there's a practice to like connect and tap into your energies, and it is instantaneous, and the messages just flow
Oh,
loudly and instantly for your time with them. Like, talk about a gift. And yeah, what I would say from this and all of the other sessions, which I have one other one from Sedona I really want to talk about,
hmm.
is the people that have practices, like, wow, they have such a gift. And yeah, if you take it at face value and you think it's just weird and made up, like, you're just going to be a skeptic. There's no way to
Yeah.
talk you into believing it. But if you actually just try it and see the profound connection and profound truth that comes through, it is. And how much variety there is in the experiences. I know we compared our notes because we saw the same person
But a
from
couple years
Miraval,
apart. Yeah.
but the experiences were totally different. Like, it's not like you go in and everyone gets the same experience. No, it is not.
It's not. And I met a lady there. She was also by herself. So we kind of bonded at this other event. And I said something about just coming from clairvoyant. So I'm sorry. I'm kind of like struggling right now to even integrate. I'm like, I'm just really blown away. And she was like, oh, I'm going to see her later. We met up and she was like, okay, did we just hear the exact same thing? Like she's very, very, very skeptical. And we heard completely different
Yeah.
things. The clairvoyant even did different things with us, like what she was feeling called to channel. So that was cool to hear as well. And you said this earlier, I think maybe about tarot or something, or maybe it was about Abraham Hicks, whatever it was. But, you know, it can feel weird. You can feel skeptical, but those messages, there's never been one where I've worked with a medium or clairvoyant or even tarot reading where I'm like, that is off. That is not
Mhm.
me. No, that doesn't resonate, which there are many, many, many that could be the case.
Yeah, there are. And I think too, like that's kind of what I always think about the carnival tarot reader person, right? Like back in the day in the movies, and kind of like this idea of this person is just going to say something so vague it could apply to anyone.
Anybody, yeah,
And that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about very specific things,
right,
like very specific descriptions or very specific energies or ways of feeling that do not apply to anyone. So,
correct, correct.
yes. Miraval's a must go. I will say too, one of my whole intentions was this was like 2 years ago. I went with a friend and we said we want to go to Sedona because Sedona is known for being a vortex and an energy, just very spiritual. There's crystal shops everywhere. There's healers everywhere. It is a bit of a touristy destination for this kind of stuff.
Sure.
But we wanted to go and we're like, we want to try it out. We want to get in the vortex and we want to see what it's all about. And it was amazing, incredible, beautiful, all the things. But the weirdest thing that we did was we did not pre-book anything, and we went into the visitor center, and there's just like walls full of cards of different energy healers, readers, ceremonies, all the different things. And we're just like, we're just gonna pick some. So we went, we just picked some, we checked them out, we took them back to the hotel with us, and we're like, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. I really want to have some kind of session. I don't know what it is, whatever. Well, the one we call, she's like, yeah, we're available tomorrow. Come, you can come to me, whatever. We end up driving. She could have met us, but we were like, we'll just come to you. We ended up driving like an hour outside of Sedona. Incredible beauty out there.
Yep.
And she had a horse ranch,
Hmm.
and she just had her little house, and she had a healing room, and we basically did energy healing. She's also a medicine, what's it called, where you like
Intuitive.
can medical intuitive. So
Hmm.
my friend was doing medical intuitive for her medical stuff. I just wanted a general healing session. I'm like, I'm a baby, and pop my cherry on like what this is. And it was so wild. Like she had feathers and there was chanting and there was like she was yawning because she was processing and channeling so hard, and that's just like what happens to her when she does it. And like I had the wildest experience. We went on like past life history, and again, I don't know, this is my skepticism. We went on this whole journey, but the energy of the story resonated. But
Yes.
she was talking about stuff back in the day with like a mother and child and Native Americans and a house burning and all this very detailed stuff. I have no idea if that is
It
real
was real. Hmm.
or if that just represents the energy of what was like what stuck in my body. I don't
Yep.
know, but it
Yep.
was real. It was the experience was emotional for me and real, and it helped me unlock something and move through something I don't even resonate with anymore. Like I can't even describe the kind of tortured trauma I felt that was described in that session because it released. And now I have to like try to remember what it felt like that she was describing because I don't feel that
You
way
don't feel that
anymore. She
anymore.
helped me move through it and heal it.
Yeah, that is exactly the way I felt about a past life regression. That's
Mm.
another one of the maybe weird ones is like with a trained hypnotherapist, board certified, I must share. Um, she is incredible. Shout out to Samantha Parrish if you need someone who's a board certified hypnotherapist. But I did a past life regression with her where you go back and like, has your soul experienced other lifetimes? And is there any generational trauma you're carrying? And a similar thing, Katie, I don't know if what I experienced, if that really did ever happen ever, if my soul really experienced it. But the feeling that I had, that same resonance of that feeling and that frequency of that pain was felt in that moment, and the ability to move through and with it, and almost verbatim in what you said, that it's released. It is
Mhm.
released. So that, I guess that's the thing, right? It's like we wouldn't keep doing any of these seekings if if we weren't experiencing release, relief, joy, closeness to source. What else? What are some of the other What are
I
the
mean, inner peace is the big thing that
peace?
comes to me. And I wouldn't say I feel inner peace all the time, but I'm not
No.
stuck in these same cycles, like these same, why do I feel the same way? Blah, like that feeling. It's like, no, you can actually move through that if you actually just but look at it, focus on it. I'll give you one example. It kept coming up about energy, kind of dark energy stuck in my sacral, right? And I was having a lot of shoulder pain, but what I kept being told is that your shoulders and your hips, like if you're tight in your hips, you're
Hmm.
going to feel it. There's all that interconnected mind body and body connection stuff. So it just kept pointing me back to my hips. And then when I had an energy healing session, it was a reading of like, well, you've got this energy stuck in there. And so then I went and physically did like pelvic floor therapy and specifically did physical therapy for my hips. And it's like this physical stuff combined with this energy stuff. And now I'm actually feeling a lot of release and peace and more of that energy you were talking about in sacral of creativity and identity and all that is unlocked in a lot of ways because I've done both the physical and the energetic work.
Ooh, clap, clap to that.
It's so fun to feel like you can make progress. That's what I think is the best,
It
feeling
is.
progress.
It is. The big change for me was as a child hearing adults accept their quote unquote fate
Mm.
and really approach life of things happening to them, which I now would call as like a victim mentality. Also very scarcity minded of like, well, that's all I get, that's all I have, that's all I must deal with. And the big shift for me is like a lot of these things we're talking about have helped remind me of abundance, of the ability to shift my reality, of the ability to move through things, um, and choose life that is full of joy and peace. Like, it's so cool.
Absolutely.
Like, I think about what would me 10, 15, 20 years ago think about now. She'd be like, yeah, you
I was gonna
badass.
say she'd be shocked, completely shocked, and
Shocked.
also like, damn girl, you're
Wow.
so cool.
Yeah, look at you healing us. Wow.
Yes. Yeah, wow, you feel like that? That I'll do whatever.
Give me a hit of that.
Yeah. So yeah,
But
I
it's
mean it
work.
really
It's work though. Like
it is.
it's intentional. It takes time, effort, money too.
Yes, and that was definitely a part of my shadow work. I mean, I've talked plenty about this, that about money and fear being part of my shadow work. And part of it was like, well, I don't want to invest this much money and time and all this energy because I got to go figure out how to make money to stay safe. Like, it's a direct conflict, but it was also exactly what I needed to do, exactly the exercise I needed to go through to do something that didn't have a direct financial or tangible output,
Ooh,
right?
ooh, I feel that. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's for
that
you. It's for how
perfectionist
you feel.
achiever. Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
And
God, that's
honestly, they're all just tools. And I would say I don't go back to all of these all the time. Honestly, the list
no.
is so long. I feel like we haven't even hit on like
I know. I was like, should we just do a quick spitball? Because like some things coming
yes,
to my mind. Like this morning, I saged my house.
sage your house. Use just even Palo Santo, clearing the
Hmm.
energy of peace. Like I think of simple stuff that people do and talk about, but maybe you don't even think of it as energy work, but like yoga and Tai Chi. It's
Yep.
literally energy work.
Yep. Barefoot grounding outside for 10 minutes a day, letting the negative, positive ions, connecting with nature. I have a friend
Well,
who, oh, go ahead. Sorry. I
no,
said,
I was just gonna
your turn.
say there's even like this is probably not a widely known thing, but there's a class we've taken called Body Temple Dance, and it
Love
is
it.
incredible, incredible work, energy and emotional healing work. It's just another outlet. It's like kind of like a dance class, even. It'd be the equivalent of like, what do you need? Well, I need Body Temple Dance right now.
No, I prescribe body temple dance class to myself. It's like it feels like church. It feels like a homecoming. It feels like needing to move things
Absolutely.
through. Absolutely. Yep.
What
I was
else?
going to say that Akashic Records is one that was out there for me for a little while, doing Akashic Records reading, even learning what the Akashic Records are. And I have a friend who's actually just completed a level 1 training in that. So very
Cool.
cool. Anything else for you?
Um,
You were
Well, one that we've heard about recently, I've never heard of it before, but we have a friend who's getting certified in a drum journey
Yep.
where there's some kind of drumming involved and then you go into some kind of meditative state and then I don't know. I don't know enough about this yet. This is all new to me.
Yeah,
But
but
even think about like a sound healing journey, like a sound path.
it piqued my interest because drums create frequency and sound, and then you think about all native tribal, like they all had drums, like it was a big part of calling in the spirits for them. Yeah, yeah.
Well, and we can't deny now that you're going down that rabbit hole, like I've also seen where you sit in the house and they like a sauna almost, but then they'll do it with the smoke and you have a journey in
Oh,
there.
mhm.
Then there's the whole lane of like plant
Plant medicine.
medicine. Yeah.
We're like,
That's a whole other thing.
yeah.
Which now we're meeting with somebody who knew about all these other ones I've never even heard of. I guess there's hundreds of different plant medicines, not all of them widely used, but it's wild. So there's that journey. I mean, and then of course meditation, that the basics.
And we have a whole episode on it, but your dreams are a big part of your subconscious speaking to you. So check out the dream episode. I do feel like we do some double clicks into some other episodes. Like we have one on astrology, we have one on somatics and the saber-toothed tiger. So we've kind of been dripping it, but this is our
Mhm.
chance to do a little bit more of a catalog, right?
Yeah.
Gratitude journals.
Yeah, we do not want to keep all the juicy details that we are using in our day-to-day lives and sharing with each other away from all of you. So this is definitely us wanting to pass on the love, and maybe we're Sherpaing a little bit more information to you. Maybe there's something in here that you hadn't heard of before and it's worth looking into.
Yeah, if you feel called to it, check it out. It's any of the things we talked about. Because I think the big thing I keep remembering is almost everything in our world today is designed to disconnect us from our bodies, from nature, from each other. And I find that most of these practices we've mentioned are about us. We've talked about that, like remembering, coming back,
Wow, beautiful.
centering.
It is. It really is. It's like, are you moving farther away from yourself, your inner knowing, your trust, your peace, your happiness, your alignment, or are you getting closer to it? And I would say all of these practices, in one way or another, for a different prescriptive reason, are bringing you closer to either your answer, your question, or your truth.
Yeah, so it's not like a bingo card. It's not like go get these all punched just to try them out just for fun, but really think like what is it that where do you feel disconnected? What do you need to get more back into your body? Do you need to understand your energy body? Is there a physical ailment that's holding you back? Like, what is that? Stay small. Like start small. Don't stay small. Start small, be curious. Yeah. Any
Yeah,
other
or
kind
is
of
there
final
an emotional wound that needs
mm,
addressing?
mm,
I think that's a lot of what this was for me, is having an outlet, a method for the emotional wound, looking at it, loving it, and then letting it heal. If you otherwise your wound just stays open and it's sensitive all the time. You can keep band-aiding, you're putting a band-aid on it, but ultimately healing it is what's going to bring you the peace.
yes. Yes. Actually looking at it, actually giving it attention with love. Whew. It's so hard and it is so good.
So good. So good. So good.
It
Oh,
is. Okay. So here's some weird stuff that maybe we've tried, some stuff that's worked. We want to hear from you if there's something we've not mentioned that you're like, how did they not mention that?
please,
There's a chance we
please
really
send it.
haven't heard, or there's a chance we just didn't catalog it right. But don't hold the juiciness.
Yep, send it. We need to know. Send us a direct voicemail if you need to. We'll share it.
Yeah, and until then, continue to trust your higher downloads.
Adios. You just experienced another higher download. We are so grateful you joined us on this journey.
Yep, so if you're feeling that high vibe energy and want more, subscribe wherever you get your podcast so you never miss an episode.
And if this episode sparked something in you, we'd be over the moon if you'd share it with someone who might need this download too.
Yep, connect with us on Instagram at Higher Downloads, where we share more behind the scenes magic and some bonus content.
You can also find full episodes, transcripts, show notes, and resources at higherdownloads.com.
Until next time, trust your downloads and keep vibrating higher.